business question.
The sideways head tilt. This has many meanings, so let's cover a few. Tilting the head to the side is a submission signal because it exposes the throat and the neck and makes the person look smaller and less threatening. Again, when animals kill other animals, the predators kill the prey, where do they bite first? It is the neck. Women tend to do this more often than men. As a female, this makes you more attractive to men as well. And there are also multiple reasons for this, because you're spreading pheromones, and also it is one of the erogenous body parts. But one piece of advice for you ladies: in a business negotiation with men, keep your head up at all times, you'll be taken more seriously. Beside all of this, the head tilt is a sign of interest. When you are speaking and someone tilts their head, it is usually a good sign. So in short, the head tilt displays the vulnerable neck and makes a person appear smaller and more submissive.
Would you mind if I asked you a business question?
Depends on the question.
Very high status move. It is very subtle. See if you can spot it now.
Depends on the question.
He speaks, and whilst he's speaking, he turns around slowly. It is similar to what happened here in the beginning. His body moves earlier than his eyes. This is something you'll have to train. It's these subtle things that make high status people so peculiar. We can't always put our finger on what it is that makes them this way, but it's the accumulation of these small things.
Would you mind if I asked you a business question?
Depends on the question.
Most people would answer yes or no. High status people tend to be more ambiguous. Lovely smirk here. Now, smirking is a facial expression of contempt. If you see this, in most cases, it is a very bad sign. We've covered it before. You see this when people feel superiority over you, or think you are worthless and deserving of scorn, or when they know something you don't. However, high status people tend to flash this here and there. In the right settings, you can pull this off in a sexy manner. Like here. Also here you see a female using it, against James Bond.
Depends on the question.
It has to do with death.
A subject in which you're well versed.
Again, speaking before moving.
Death.
A subject in which you're well versed.
Also notice how little teeth James Bond shows and how much he does. In the animal kingdom, showing teeth accompanied by a smile is a very submissive move. Also covered in the video of Luca Changretta.
It has to do with death.
A subject in which you're well versed.
How would you know that?
Only a certain kind of woman.
Then he leans in. Many people, especially the pickup artist fellas, tell you don't lean in, it is submissive, etc. If you decide to filter the world through submissive and dominance only, you'll miss the bigger points, which in the Laws of Power series I elaborate on to a greater extent. It is also how Billy Kimber got played by Thomas Shelby. Yes, in this context, leaning in can be read as submissive. However, it is a great way to show interest and use it as a form of reward for the topic of choice. In this case, James leans in to emphasize his point. Side note, leaning in isn't always a submissive move. Look at this scene from House of Cards in Law 8.
Apologize to my wife.
You would do something that low, Frank?
Why don't you just get down on your knees where you really belong?
Back off, Frank.
Because the only thing you're gonna get from me is come on your face.
You!
How would you know that?
Only a certain kind of woman wears a backless dress with a Beretta 70 strapped to her thigh.
You see James looking down again, just like he did when he was walking here. When he was walking, he not only checked her out, but observed she had a gun by her ankle. So yes, looking down there may be submissive, as you were told, but in the greater scheme it turned out into a dominant move. You see what I meant before with filtering only dominant and submissive behavior will lead to short-sightedness? It focuses you only on the moment, but it doesn't let you zoom out and plan things strategically. That's the problem with those things, guys. Remember, context, clusters, and congruency. Don't forget that.